Good morning, everyone. Hope you are doing well, or good afternoon, good evening. Depends on where you live and when you're watching this. You might be watching it on playback later on in the day on Sunday. Anyway, hope you are grand. Possibly not if West Ham impacts how your weekend goes. I know a lot of people say, well, don't do that. It's not healthy. I agree, but it does kind of impact you. Truth be told, I got over yesterday's defeat. I was able to put to one side pretty quickly, though. I think it's because I was expecting nothing from the game. But his comments have really riled me up. Actually, his comments have wound me up more than the defeat yesterday, because the defeat I could see coming. I guess should have seen David Moyes' comments coming as well. But there's some phrases in football that I think can be either overused or can be quite extreme, one way or another. The phrase "world class" is a very positive term. I think it's a bit extreme. I think I tend not to use the phrase "world class" very often. I don't really think there's many world-class players. There shouldn't be many world-class players. If there's 300, they're not really world-class, are they? Anyway, so that one phrase, crisis. I don't like using the word crisis to describe a club. Again, I think that's almost like the bottom rung. It cannot get any worse. Are we in crisis mode? I don't think we are. I think we're a long way away from crisis. Crisis is a club that's maybe on the brink. Reading are in crisis mode. So there's always clubs that are far, far worse for you. So my point is there's extreme phases in football. And I think deluded is one of them. I try to stay away from that phrase because I think it's quite a harsh phrase. But actually, it's when people are using that word to describe what David Moyes is coming out with at the minute, I find it difficult to disagree with them, truth be told. When I did the video on Friday, and some of the subscribers alerted me to what David Moyes had said in his pre-match press conference, and have you seen what he said ahead of the game against Nottingham Forest? I went and had a listen, and now the club stitched him up. The club massively stitched him up for one of them, because when the club do their text update on the website, they obviously just put in what David Moyes says, and they put in the club, WHUFC, the official club, put up something along the lines of Moyes has stated we need 5 more wins this season, something like that. It basically made on that Moyes has said he only wants 5 wins this season. Obviously, we had 14 games to play at the time. It's a bit, what? So people got a bit riled up by that. What Moyes actually said was if we can get 5 or 6 wins, that'll start to put us into a healthy position. So it was completely different. But anyway, the club really stitched him up. So I can understand why people got annoyed by it. And that's the club's fault. It's not your fault. It's not the person that digested that. You should be able to go onto the official website and trust that it's accurate. But what he did also say was he said that we're entertaining. He said, he got asked about the entertainment or lack of entertainment. And he said, we score goals. We are entertaining. And he was talking about Arsenal game as if he's talking about how outstanding Arsenal were, and that's the reason we lost it. He did everything right, and it was the players' fault, and it's just because Arsenal were really good. Well, what are you going to say about? You can't say that about Nottingham Forest. You can't say they're an outstanding team. They've accumulated the 4th least points in the Premier League this season, prior to yesterday's game, obviously. And it's just he's speaking as if like we got beat by Arsenal, but we'd won, or our form coming into the Arsenal game was okay. Well, that was our 7th game without a win, 8th now after yesterday's defeat to Nottingham Forest. But again, his comments are just we all knew what they'd be. He'll refer back to the fact that we were in a relegation battle when he took over. He has stabilised us now, and I don't necessarily disagree with everything. When he said this is the best some people have had, do you know what it is? For me, this is the best I've had as a West Ham fan. We've won a trophy. We've been in European football 3 seasons on the bounce. That has been the best I've had it as a West Ham fan. Maybe not in terms of entertainment. I've preferred football under other managers. But in terms of results, he can say that. He can say it. But I think to say it when you've gone 8 games without a defeat, I almost admire him for coming out and fighting back against the fans. And when he gets asked difficult questions by the journalist in regards to the Moyes out banners in the way end, it's difficult for him to answer that, because if he was to say it's justified, he's basically admitting that he shouldn't be given a new contract. So he's got to sort of fight back a little bit. But when I seen the comments, I thought, oh no, this is not the time to be saying it. Then he went on to state that maybe other managers have entertained in the past, but he's the one that wins games. He's the one that's won the most. Again, statistically, he is accurate. But if he wants to go back to the past, which he keeps doing, he keeps going back to the fact that we're in a relegation battle when we took over. Well, let's also go back to the past. He was 1 defeat away from being our worst ever manager statistically in terms of win percentage. He was 1 defeat away. He won that game, and then since then we've not looked back. Well, maybe last season. But yesterday he said, a couple of seasons ago we were fighting Nottingham Forest for relegation. We weren't. It was last season. Last season we were battling Nottingham Forest for relegation. And he's got the club. The club are in a much better place today than they were when he took over. There's no doubt about that. And I will give him the credit for that. And when he goes, I will give him credit. I would be relieved to see him go, but I will also look back and say, do you know what? He put us in a position where the next manager can come in and hopefully build upon what he's done. Because even if worst case scenario between now and the end of the season, a new manager would come in, we may be finishing the bottom half of the table, but he'd be taking over a Premier League club which has good players in the squad at the minute. Even if some of them still want to leave, like I still think Paqueta will leave regardless of the manager. I struggle to see Paqueta at West Ham next season, regardless of whether Moyes is here or not. I've got hopes that I think Bowen will be, again, regardless of manager, and I've got hopes that Kudus will be. But Paqueta, I think he'll go. But even if he does, you'd imagine we'll get to 85 million. The new manager would then have a decent core of players, 85 million from Paqueta. The money we've just got on Fornals and Benrahma, money we possibly didn't spend in January on top of that. So there should be a decent transfer kitty in the summer for the new manager. And that will be a really good platform going forward. And I will give him the credit for that. But at the minute, in terms of like a PR job, it's an absolute disaster for Moyes. Like I said, I've got a little bit of sympathy because he's under pressure and he gets asked these questions. But I don't think he's doing himself any good. And when fans will label his comments as deluded, I do find it difficult to disagree with. Even though some of them are factually accurate, there's a time and a place. And when you've got 8 games without a win, I don't think that is it. Anyway, I'm going to be taking your comments in the live chat now. I'm without my co-host Charlie today for this debrief that we've been doing after every game for the last few games. I've been quite enjoying it. Actually, it's almost like therapy for me. A camera rant, maybe, or a camera bit of happiness. I mean, we've not been doing too well since we've been doing these videos. But he's on holiday for the first time in 8 years. Charlie's having an entire week off. This is the middle of his week. He started midweek last week and be back later on this week. So he'll be back for the Brentford game and stuff. Business as normal next week. But for today, it's just me. So keep getting your comments into the live chat because you're going to provide the content from now on. Dylan said he's lost his bearings. Doesn't develop youth. Needs world-class players to carry and waste money. Small gaming squad. Doesn't improve players, boring match days, awful attitude fans. He must go. Guy says there's a lot of building to do, though. We have a small squad and an aging squad. There's a lot of money that needs to be spent. I agree with that, to be fair. I do agree with that. Lewis says he said we played well for large parts of yesterday, but we couldn't finish. His perspective on what is happening is alarming at times. Marquis says Moyes' mentality is we're still fighting relegation. He'll never change. He even did it. I think that's a very good point for Marky there. He does still speak as if it's an achievement to be where we are today. And when he says, well, a couple of seasons ago in a relegation battle, the counter is, well, actually, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we were 6 and 7. So now we're not 6 and 7. So what's happened then? Yes, we have taken a massive step forward, but we've also taken steps backwards. Depends. He's the one that keeps going back. He's the one that keeps going back 4 years to when he took over. So if he can do that, then why would it not be fair for us to go back to 3 years and 2 years since he took over and say, well, actually, we were 6. Now, well, we're 8 at the minute, but Brighton played today. Wolves, Chelsea, Brighton, all a point behind us now in the league. It's possible that this time next week or Tuesday next week, we're going to be in the bottom half of the table. Ross says, I wish for Canada I was a Real Madrid fan, so I didn't have to have West Ham consistently ruin my game. It would, though. It would. As a Real Madrid fan, you'd have had to go through that period where Barcelona kept winning everything. When they had Pep Guardiola, when they had Messi, you'd have still had a bad time as a Real Madrid fan. Every club, maybe even Man City, that year that Liverpool won the title must have been like, oh no, it must have been devastation. I know. Oh, let's get our little violins out for them. My point is, no matter who you support, you still go through periods where it's frustration and just disappointing, and it can ruin your weekends, but you do it for the high. You just get more of them as a Real Madrid fan. Hammer from Devon says, Moyes lying to convince himself, saying that we're in that game is mental. We were so, yeah, I do agree with that one. Artel says, do West Ham have an official communication director? Sullivan can hide and sack Moyes. Speculation will continue. He's doing his detachment thing again. They've got a head of media. Sullivan will know what's going on. Daniel says, Moyes slipped in an interview after the game and said, this time last year we were in the bottom. He's gaslighting. Even his gaslighting is failing. I mean, we were in the bottom last year. We were fighting relegation for quite a while. Chris said, you keep telling everyone you're great. Eventually someone will believe you. Sullivan, one of them. The media as well. Dave says Sullivan won't sack him. He'll wait till the end of the season as it'll cost him. Sullivan, being a businessman, first and foremost, sees Moyes as someone who's steady and brings the money in. The thing is, we'll still bring the money in even if he's not. We're not going to get relegated. We could have no manager between now and the end of the season. I don't think we're not going to get relegated. This season, we could say lose every game between now and the end of the season. We'd probably still stay up. And I don't think we will do that, but we'd probably still stay up. So the money, which is obviously based on remaining in the Premier League, granted there's $2 million per place, but at the minute it is costing Sullivan money because we're slipping down the league. His compensation is now less than one league position. So we were to sack David Moyes today and gain a league position, it actually, Sullivan arguably makes a profit in that regards. Wacky Mackey says, people say Moyes is the best manager we've had in the Prem, but at the same time, we've spent 500 million. This is probably our best team we've had in years. Poplar says he deserves zero credit. He's totally clueless, and we won that trophy despite him and not because of him. What I will say, I know that we were favourites for it. It wasn't a difficult tournament to win. I get that. But we got into that tournament because of David Moyes as well. We finished 7th and we had to qualify for that tournament. And that's where I think if you can't give him credit for us winning the tournament because it was easy to win, that's fine. I get that. I'm not going to argue against it. But to get into the tournament, it's a 38-game season. And that's difficult. The Premier League is difficult. So I'll at least give him credit for that. I'll give him credit for us winning the trophy. I enjoyed it. Chris says, all I hear from pundits and Moyes is we're 8 and we should be happy with Moyes in charge. We'll avoid relegation this season, but that's about it. Kerry says it's Charlie's fault. How dare him leave us to pick up the pieces? Well, he's probably glad he's on holiday this week. Lewis says he is one of our best ever managers, but none have had the resources and backing he has. I struggle to say stuff like that. I mean, it's true. What Lewis has said and what Poplar has said, other people, Wacky Mackey said, sorry, it's true. He has more backing than any other manager, but I imagine that's applicable to every Premier League manager. You know, Pep Guardiola has had more backing than any other Man City manager, but I'm not going to use that to downplay the job Pep's done. Klopp's had more backing than any other Liverpool manager and has achieved less than some of the other Liverpool managers, but he's still a incredible manager. So I get it. It's true. That is true. But I think it's applicable to every Premier League manager at the minute. And do you know something? In 10 years' time, that manager will get backed more than what David Moyes has. In 50 years' time, that manager will be backed a hell of a lot more than what Moyes has today. So I just struggle to bring the money thing into it. It's a lot of money. $500 million is a lot of money. But it's still, in terms of the Premier League, it still puts us like 8th in spending. I just struggle to do it. I do agree with this though, which is I would want Moyes to answer why we spent 500 million and these are performances and what the squad looks like. I agree with that. I don't think he spent the money wisely. So what I'm trying to say is, I think to say that he spent a load of money more than any other manager historically, that is true. But like I said, inflation, that is it's applicable for every manager, but he has spent it poorly. I think this is a bigger reason than the one that the backing he's had, if that makes sense. Mark says, if Moyes knows he's going at the end of the season, what's his incentive to improve us? I can see a horrendous end to the season. Well, he's claiming he's getting a new contract. That's his incentive. Sai says the problem with Moyes and Sullivan is neither of them have West Ham's needs in their hearts. They're both greedy little buggers. The guy said, just an example of the scale rebuild. How many of our current centre-backs do you want to see next season? It's 2 at a push, and I hope those 2 wouldn't be starting. Yeah, it's probably 2 at a push for me as well. Kerry said was mentioned that Tottenham finishing 4th and 5th under Conte, but fans were unhappy with the football. Why are we any different? We're not. We're not. Steve says most important stat for him is 420 million he's spent, which is massively more than any other previous manager. Guy said can't be about money to sack Moyes, as every place we come down to the league, we'll lose 2.5 million, sack him now, maybe go up the league. May says it's difficult to have any sympathy for a manager who increasingly comes across as an obnoxious human being. Results aside, he's just a wanker. I agree with that, to be fair. How he's saying, he's almost disregarding like fans' opinions a little bit. It's you're not allowed to be unhappy with the football because of what he's achieved, and I agree with that. How he's coming across in interviews is hard, and like I said, when I read what he said last night, I went and watched it. It was just it's almost like car crash stuff, really. It's just this is not a wise thing to say at this minute. Hammer 1999 says, I want a manager who will trust and play the youth players. We've got a good crop coming through, and we shouldn't be wasting them. He's put them on the bench a few times, but that's enough. Well, we are. It's not just David Moyes. Carlton Cole now, he's responsible. Carlton Cole is responsible for Carla Marshall's loan, and I think that's a poor one. I was a bit suspicious when Marshall went to West Brom. Hang on a minute, this is a good club. It's almost too good for Carla Marshall. You only got half an hour. I shouldn't judge him too much. And it was against Southampton on Friday, but I watched the game and he came on for half an hour, and it was very much a bit like West Ham, really, up front on your own with no support whatsoever. Do what you can. But I've seen a lot of West Brom fans saying that even though it's early days and he's not been given a chance, they don't think he's going to get a chance. And that he'd have been better off maybe dropping down to League One or something. So I'll be surprised if that loan works out. So yes, Moyes is wasting them. But I think as a club, we're wasting them. Bear says he's being tactically outplayed every match. When opposite manager takes some small adjustments during the game, he can't answer those adjustments. Can't disagree. Iggy said Moyes' negativity and incompetence has now damaged the club beyond repair. Dylan says he isn't a coach. He has not improved any players. Maybe you could argue he's improved Bowen defensively, but that's it. Everyone else stays the same or it gets worse. And Ben says getting real Allardyce vibes now, trying to justify a loss away to Nottingham Forest as not a bad result. His arrogance is on another level. CR said it would be such a Moyes move for him to go gung-ho in the next game, batter Brentford, and then you turn around and say, get battered. And then say, isn't that what the fans wanted? Hammer from Devon said, I feel like most players generally decline under Moyes than improve. Bowen had a run of forward at the start of the season. Now he looks a shadow of who he was. The team looks a shadow now. James expanding on the loan, saying Kadu and Chester haven't played at Wickham and Salford. Honestly, we're crap at loaning players. Whether it's first team players, see Felipe Anderson, or now the youth players. We've had some good ones. Josh Cullen and Conor Coventry have had successful loan spells away from the club, but it's few and far between. We're not very good at loaning these players out. And the players that have made it at West Ham from the academy, there's only two of them. Ben Johnson and Declan Rice, neither had a loan spell. So it's something we need to get better. I appreciate Moyes doesn't do enough for the youth. I agree with that. But I don't think the club do enough for the youth overall either. We've employed Cole to be the loan manager. 3 loans he's done. Been rubbish so far. They might turn good, but so far they've not been very good. Kevin said, we are always reminded of what Moyes has done for us as if we owe him something, but the football and 35% possession these last 8 games is not acceptable. We do need a change to move forward. Guy said the transfer window shows that as a club, we've not moved forward. Symbolic is being kind. I agree with that one. I think the results recently have somewhat overshadowed the January transfer window. Is it a repercussion of January transfer window? A little bit. I think had we got a left-sided player, he may have played yesterday. He might have played against Man United. You'd like to think he would have played against Man United and Arsenal, given that we had Ben Johnson on the wing. But are we failing to win because of that? Not really. I think it would have helped, but I'd be lying if I said had we got that one player, we wouldn't be on 8 games without a win. I think it's possible we'd still have this record. But I completely agree with what you just said there, which is it's symbolic of the club rather than these results are coming as a result of the transfer window. The transfer window is symbolic of how bad the club has been run at the minute. Tracks will say, I will always contest that it's not Moyes that is propping up West Ham. It's been West Ham propping up Moyes with unprecedented record levels of investment. Sam said 80% of the squad don't look like they want to be here anymore. George says, good morning, get Moyes out now. Chris says, the worst thing is I'm getting to the point that I want us to lose the next 3 and they will have to sack him. Yeah, I've never got to that point. I get it, though. You don't have to justify it. And nobody has to justify it. I get what your point is. I understand it. Anyway, before I take some more of the comments, keep them coming in. Just one point in the direction of Match Bingo, who are sponsoring this video. Now, you can download the app in the description. It's free to download and it's free to sign up. And usually, to play the West Ham game so far, you have had to pay £2 per card in order to get your bingo card. So the way it works is you get your bingo card, and it's just like bingo the traditional game that you play. If you get numbers, you stamp them off. Well, in this thing, you get events that you need to happen in the game. It updates it automatically for you, so don't worry. If you miss something, you don't get punished. You just have to make sure you call it first line, second line, and full house. Well, when we play Brentford next Monday, you can get a card for free. So download the app, sign up, and then find West Ham versus Brentford. It says on there, claim free card. You get your card for free, and then there's 15 things that you need to happen. Full house is £100, so the first person to get a full house. So you can cheer on. It's different things. I've got mine already. I need West Ham to have a throw in. I need Brentford to take a kick off. I need Brentford to have a shot off target. I need West Ham to get an offside. So I'm hoping Maxwell Cornet comes onto the pitch at some point. So there's 15 things. And first person to get full house wins £100, but there's also first line and second line as well. It's free. Download it, sign up, play West Ham Brentford. All those things are free. There are pay-to-play games on there. I strongly recommend that you play the West Ham Brentford game just to see how it works. One of our subscribers yesterday was a West Ham goal away from winning a full house in the Nottingham Forest game. So West Ham not scoring has cost one of our subscribers £100. That's a bit harsh. But anyway, thank you to anybody that does download it. Helps out the channel. Use the link in description. That's important for us. Stephen said, he was at the game yesterday. Lackluster is the word he'd use. Kent says, Boney Kudus playing fullback most of the time. Lack of ambition to win games. Moyes has to go. Starting to look like lost the dressing room. Once away fans have turned, it's over for a manager. I think calling out the away fans is not a wise move to do either. Anthony said David Moyes is a perfect manager for West Ham board, not West Ham. What a fantastic comment that is. If I could vigorously shake my head without getting dizzy, I would. Barry said, I think he should be sacked after Brentford, as we will lose to them. That's going to be 2 out of the 4 that's lost, and it ain't going to get any better. Let Noble and Nolan take over till they get a replacement manager. Ross said the first half of last season he tried to play a different style. He can't crack it. He's got one style of play that fans are tired of. It's results over performances we need at the moment. Sam says he hasn't got a clue. At half-time, his bright ideas put Antonio on the left, Kudus on the right, and Bone up front against 2 centre-backs that were chucking Mickey about in first. Yes, I can't get over that either. I mentioned in the review yesterday when I seen him putting Bone up front, I just thought, what are we doing? Murillo's had Antonio in his back pocket. Felipe struggled a little bit with him. There was a physical battle between them two. I think Antonio won some, Felipe won some. But putting Bowen up against 2 rough and ready centre-backs was just, well, it was pointless, really. If you want to get Kudus onto the right, that's okay. But put Bowen on the left or put Bowen in number 10 position, do something, but not putting him up front. Sorry, that's Sam's one. George said to give him some time. He said 4 years, George. I don't know. I think he's had plenty of time. And Devin says, who do we want to replace him? I don't know. We'll cover those in more in-depth videos. Truth be told, they'll come into different categories, don't they? There's the dream ones, the risky ones, whether it be usually because of inexperience, can they step up? And then there's the ones that you think would work. I don't know. It's different. I don't think there's an outstanding candidate for me. I will be honest with you. I don't think there's one. Last season, I really wanted Postecoglou. He was by far the one I wanted. I would have loved Postecoglou at West Ham. I don't really have that about a certain manager at the moment. I think there's maybe something from the Bundesliga that I wouldn't mind. There's something from the Championship I wouldn't mind, but they are punts. And maybe there's one Premier League manager that would take, and I think we could maybe get, but we'll cover it in videos. I'll probably do them with Gonzo or something. Mark says, don't want us to lose, even if Moyes going, but I do think Nottingham will be my last away game until he's gone. Guy said, in terms of morale, I'm not sure the treatment of Fanals and Ben Ramos helped team spirit. Both were popular members of the dressing room. Don't disagree with that one. Kerr said, I don't know if he's lost the players, but after that post-match, he's definitely lost the plot. Ian says, and Moyes says, it's what the fans wanted, so why doesn't he just do other things that the fans want? It's Moyes, just piss off. Dylan says, I'm not saying Heitinga until the end of the season would be we're any better now, but I really do feel without Moyes, certain players will improve them. That might be enough. Liam says, you can see the end is near. When the manager turns on the fans as well as the fans turning on the manager, it's a recipe for disaster. Could hear you're getting sacked in the morning, clear as day as well. I have to say, I think turning on the manager is always a bad idea. And it can maybe, those who are maybe on the fence a little bit or they aren't that vocal about it for whatever reason, maybe it's just respect or maybe they just don't like being vocal against the manager, whatever reason. I think this can give some people the nudge. But I completely agree with, in regards to it feeling a little bit inevitable, it does have a little bit of that. When you got to the end of Pellegrini's tenure and Slaven Bilic's tenure, it felt a little bit like when, not if, when. And it is starting to feel like that now with David Moyes. Can he get out of this? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? No. He would have to start by beating Brentford, and then I think he'd have to go on and pick up a serious amount of points between now and the end of the season in order to get that new contract. So I do think he can turn. Can he turn it around in terms of is it possible? Yes. Can he turn it around in terms of is it probable? I don't think he can. Phil says, not being up for the fight after the players were embarrassed the game before was awful. I'm ready for change now. Fair play to the away fans supporting, but also showing what they think is best. James says, when people keep using the same phrases and words in an argument, you know that they are looking for anything to deflect the issue away from him. I think he almost believes it, so I don't think he's lying. I think he believes it. Like I said, factually and statistically, he's correct with a lot of the things he says. It's just, I don't think it's a very good argument. George says, too many players start good at West Ham, Ward-Prowse, for example, and quickly get worse. That's down to the manager. It went wrong when we lost all of our backroom staff, Pierce, Nevin, then Irvine. He's still employed by West Ham, I guess, but he's just not there on the training ground, is it? Right then, a couple more comments and we'll start wrapping this one up. Hammer's dad likes Sheffield United's manager, Chris Wilder. He's progressive and he's turned them and Wolves into much better team. Was Wilder even at Wolves? I don't think he was. Unless I've got the wrong manager. Apologies if I have, but I don't think Wilder's been at Wolves. Maybe I've got that wrong. Brendan says Moyes wants love from the fans. Not sure if he's ever loved us. I think he was happiest in the COVID season. Well, of course it is. Of course it is. That's one thing I always thought, and I took a bit of criticism for it, but that's the nature of the game, isn't it? I always said that when we were winning games, that it works without the fans there because you don't need to entertain. Because there was a lot of games when we were finishing 6 and 7, but they were boring. Because I remember doing the reviews with Gonzo where we'd win, and we'd be a bit like, well, we've won, but it wasn't that exciting. And we'd often get told off, which was like, you've won, what more do you expect? Shut up. But it wasn't that entertaining. But because the fans weren't there, you got away with it. It was acceptable. Because I've always felt, and I'm not going to pretend I didn't feel it, I've always felt under Moyes, while he gains results, while he's yielding results, I have to stomach his football. I'm not saying you do. This is how I feel. I feel like I just have to put up with it while we're yielding results. But the minute he stops yielding results, that's when we've got a big issue, because it goes from not very fun to watch, but winning, to not very fun to watch. There's no positive there. At least there's a positive on the other side of it. And that's where I've always sort of been, I guess. Anyway, 8 games out of wins. I've not had the positive bit for quite some time. People saying they would take Marco Silva. James saying he'd like Marco Silva. Lewis would like Kieran McKenna. James thinks he's talking about Gary Neal. Oh, right, yeah. Okay, that would make sense in regards to Bimbles. I was like, no need to apologise. It's not the end of the world. Not Forest. Don't bore me. If you're talking about Gary O'Neill, it's Bournemouth that you're trying to get, but I get it now. The fact that to left knee Zuma's playing as a joke, but he's our captain. The bloke that's known for doing keepy ups with his cat is the one we're looking for. Did you see him yesterday? I will end it with that, actually. By the way, Foxy, yes, Rob Edwards, a decent human being who deserves a chance to see what we can do at a bigger club. He's thoroughly impressed me. Him and O'Neill are the two Premier League managers that I would have on the short list at West Ham. Just to end it on Zuma, did you see it did make me laugh, because obviously there's been frustrations with Zuma's lack of leadership, and I'm one of them, Gonza's one of them, a lot of you guys are as well. Because it feels like we've been getting bullied a bit recently, and there's a lack of response from West Ham. And yesterday, Soufal got that clump in the mouth for the second time. The first one, he got a bit of a slap here. He went down. Alanga had that shot, and there was no blood drawn on that. But the second one, Hudson-Odoi caught him with his elbow. There was blood drawn. So while Soufal and Ward-Prowse and all that had been complaining for at least 30 seconds to the referee, and it was all calm. They were just having the referee had calmed it down by this point. Zuma just came rushing in and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm captain. Let me have a word." I was like, "Where have you been for the last hour of the game?" This is now the second time it's happened. It's also happened to Kudus. Kudus has also had an elbow in the jaw, and he's only just decided to start shouting when everybody else. The moment had passed, and it was a bit like sometimes when you watch football. And it's maybe a 3 p.m. kickoff on the Saturday, right? And you won't watch it. Sometimes the audio will be a little ahead of the visual, right? So you will know what's away to happen because you've already heard it. So you'll hear the crowd shouting. So you know there's something away to happen. And it's not that. Maybe 5 seconds later you see it, right? But you knew it was away to happen. So, for example, Antonio might have been through and go visually, but you heard a big round of applause from the Nottingham Forest fans, so you knew Antonio wasn't way to score. But it was a bit like that, really. There's just this delay, and Zuma was like that. It was just that delay. It was like, where have you been? First of all, the first hour of the game while they've been getting physical, and where have you been the last minute while Ward-Prowse and Soufal have been arguing about the fact that Soufal's blood is coming out his face, and he's had a clatter for the second time. Anyway, I'm going to disappear. I'm off to try and enjoy my Sunday. It's a bit weird that playing on a Sunday, isn't it? I think Burnley away was our last Saturday 3 p.m. game. So it's weird not having West Ham play today. 2 games today, both one of them more significant than the other in regards to West Ham. Luton at home to Brighton, and then Luton are at home to Man United. Sheffield United are at home to Brighton. I mean, Brighton win, they go above us. That's fantastic. Man United win, they go further ahead of us. Not that I'm saying we can catch them anymore, but they're still there. They're still on the horizon. So I'm a Luton and Sheffield United fan for today, and I will be a Liverpool fan next weekend. I'll tell you why in a video. Probably, I was going to say later tonight. I'm going to try and chill for the rest of the day, so I'll do it for tomorrow. Anyway, I'll catch up with you all then. Thank you very much for joining me. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. It helps out the video, helps out the channel. Subscribe to Hammers Chat if you want to, if you've enjoyed the video. And please, if you can, download Match Bingo. Sign up for free and play the free game. West Ham Brentford. It's a free card. You might win £100. I'll catch up with you soon.